Hi families, I wanted to show you a little bit more about Seesaw for anyone who still needs some extra help and just kind of navigating the website. So when you log on to Seesaw, remember you're going to come from Clever and click on that Seesaw icon. It's going to bring you to the main page. And there's kind of three important parts that we want to make note of on our main page, and that's our journal, which is going to be for any activities that are already completed. So you can see that these are some activities. A draft means that Jeremiah, I borrowed his, is that he's going to go back to it and finish it later. So you have an option to edit it. And you can see his other activity says waiting for teacher approval. And that just means that I haven't gotten around to approving it yet. And then you can see that his other activities are in his journal that he completed. Now, any activities that the teachers assigned are going to be under the activities tab. So if we're looking for a new activity, that's where we're going to look. And you'll see that there's kind of three subfolders. So there's the to do, and you can see that it says waiting for a response. This is something that he has not completed yet. In progress. So that's when we're going to click that orange check mark that maybe we haven't finished the activity and we want to go back to it later. And that's where you can click that orange check mark and finish it later. So that's another option. And when we click down to this green check mark, those are the activities that are completed. Okay, so that's going to be from our activity section, our to do, our in progress, and our done. And you can see that there's a notification here telling me that I have an activity to do. Over here in our inbox, that's where I'm going to send out any notifications, any announcements. So you'll see that I have my teacher announcements out here, and you'll be able to read and access them. Notifications mean that maybe you updated your item, you went back, maybe the teacher has sent you back work for you to finish, maybe you wanted to go back and edit your work. So that's going to be in your inbox with your messages and your notifications. But when we're looking for our work to do, we're going to want to be in this activities tab. It automatically brings you to this journal tab, but these are activities you already completed. So you want to make sure you're in that activities tab. We always have our activities. I'm going to have them labeled by the date and the name just to kind of keep it organized. And it's going to give you some directions. I'm going to usually record the directions where you can also play them. There is an option in Seesaw we haven't gone to yet, but if you click these three activities, there is an option to print it. So I didn't want to make print anything because, I'm not sure who has access to a printer, who doesn't. But later down the road, if you decide that you don't want to do everything on the computer and you want to print out the activity and then take a picture to upload it, that's something that we'll be able to do. But I'm going to click add a response. We're always going to look for this add response button to do our activity. And this brings us up to our main Seesaw page. Now I'm going to kind of go through a couple of these tools on Seesaw, and we're going to practice with them, and it's going to take time for us to get used to them. Most important is view instructions. If you ever forgot the instructions or weren't sure what you were to do, they're always available in the activity itself. This zoom here will just kind of make it a little bit bigger if you needed to zoom in on a certain part. And then this kind of just gets rid of all of the tools. If they're distracting or you don't need them, that gets rid of all the tools. There is also an undo. So if I decide that I draw this blue line and I didn't like it, I can click undo. Okay, so that's one way. This 1 out of 1 means that there's only one page. We might later down the road have an activity with multiple pages. Well, we're going to have to click on page 1 and then click on page 2. And that's what that 1, now it says 1 out of 2. This right here we've kind of discovered is where we can move to change our colors. And that goes with our tools at the bottom. I call this the pointer finger or the moving. It kind of moves stuff around. So if I were to say draw something, and now I'm going to take the pointer and I wanted to move it around, I can do that. Okay. And if I were to take this hand, I would want to maybe unlock it. And that's the way that we'll be able to move it. So I'm going to look for these 3 dots and I can click on lock and then I'll be able to move it around. Most of the activities will be locked just because that way we don't have to worry about being able to accidentally move it. So we have our pointer finger, we have our pencil. If you click once, if you click twice, it brings up the different widths that you could have your pencil. So if you want kind of a thicker pencil, if you want a really thin one, you have that option to play around with. And that's what happens when we click on it twice. We have our pen, same thing. We have our highlighter, we have our glow pen, and then we have the eraser where you can use the big circle, or say you want to start something all over, you can click erase drawing. So those are kind of some of the tools. Over here, we have a text box where if you wanted to type your name or you wanted to type something, you can type in the text box and then move it around. You can resize it. You can really even go as far as changing the font and the color. Again, we're not worrying about that right now, but I did just want to show you that that is an option. You can always change a lot of it. So that's our text box. Our microphone we've used, that records our voice. Our photo, if I were to take a picture, I can take a video, and this is, say you did decide to print out the activity, you can take a picture, upload it onto your computer, and you can put it right in Seesaw. Or even if you printed out the picture, printed out the paper, you put it on a piece of paper, you can hold it up and take a picture to upload it as well. And you can just add it. So say I printed the activity, maybe I want to hold it up, I want to take my picture, and I will have it in the screen. And I'm going to delete that page because I don't need that, but that's the way that I would do it. These three dots are going to bring us some shapes if we wanted to add some shapes to our seesaw. And again, we're going to be on that hand to move it. So maybe I wanted to add a heart. Background is if you wanted to change the colors behind you. Again, not something that we're going to worry about right away, but you do have that option. And the last one here is a link. So if we ever wanted to add a website or anything like that. When you're in Seesaw, now that I'm done, if I decided that I want to come back to it later and I'm not sure if I'm all the way done, I'm going to click this orange check mark and that puts it into a draft. If I know that I am all done and ready for Ms. Arrowood to check it, I can click the green check mark. Now, it's going to say waiting for teacher approval because the teacher is going to have to approve the item. So I'm going to go into my Seesaw and I'm going to approve that item. So I'm going to click approve, and you'll notice that when I refresh it now that the teacher has approved it, it won't say that anymore. It'll say that I responded and it's in my journal. Now, I did want to show you, if you do an activity and you say, oh no, I'm not done, I want to go back. Once it's in your journal, there's these three little dots. And that's where you can always go back to edit post. And if I click edit post, it brings my activity back up. Okay, so once it's submitted in my journal, and then it's going to have teacher approval again, I can always click this button, these three dots, and I can edit it. If the teacher approves it, let me approve it so I can see it, and I'm going to refresh it. If the teacher approves it, it'll come back to here. And you'll also notice there's an option where you can save it. So if this is something, maybe your child drew a picture or some activity that you want to save, you can. You can also print it. So it'll come up to print if it's an activity that you want to print and hang up at home. So there's a couple different options in these three dots. Okay, so that's kind of an idea of Seesaw. There is also this add button. If for some reason, I had some friends who just wanted to send me a picture or a drawing or a video, you can just post anything to your journal through here. You can take a picture, you can make a drawing, write a note. That's just something if you wanted to add anything to your journal. I know this is a lot. I know that we have a lot to learn together, but I'm hopeful that, a couple weeks, hopefully sooner, that we'll be able to do this all together and make it work. So thank you for your patience. I really, really appreciate it. And if there's anything I can do, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to help. Thank you.